We're live.
We're live. Let's do this.
How you going? You good?
I am very well. Excited to be on my first podcast and to be in one of the most famous grad job podcasts as well. So excited.
I wish it was famous.
Well,
We'll roll with it.
I see it quite a bit on my LinkedIn. So I actually watch most of your little podcast clips. I think it's helpful still for me as well. So it's very relevant even today for me. So it's helpful.
That's good to know. That's
Mm,
awesome.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's make the best one yet.
Let's do it.
So tell us about what you do, because I see on LinkedIn, I haven't talked to you in a while, but I see product lead, I see tech consultant.
Yeah.
Like when I last talked to you, you were doing just the tech consulting. So yeah, talk us through it. What do you do?
All right. So I guess it started off with joining this firm called Kitney Consulting. So just to give you a brief of what Kitney does is they are a work health and safety consultant technically. So we've got the managing director who goes into different client sites and gives expert advice on how you can improve work health and safety. Now, I'm part of the technical team of the business. So Kitney has got consulting arm and then it's got a toolkit arm. Toolkit arm is the one that has all the technical or IT solutions. So we kind of are like we work with consulting hand in hand. So consulting gives the advice, we build the solution for the client. And where I come in is when I joined Kitney, I started as an IT support, um, where I was working with IT leads, working with consultants we get deployed in different projects. So a client buys one of our solutions, which is based off a Microsoft platform. It's mainly on SharePoint, and then SharePoint we plug in different applications of Microsoft, mainly Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automations. These are the three applications that we use, and we try to build a good safety system running off a SharePoint environment. So we call it the work health and safety system within your 365 license. That's where the unique selling point is. It's not like a straight off the shelf software, and it's easy to access because it's within your Microsoft license. And today, 80% of the businesses have Microsoft licenses. So that's where a nice niche market where we step in, and people don't have to, put a lot of investment to buy our product. And I go into a client and project, discover what they need in terms of building a system for them, and then and then I deploy resources or I work on it myself if we don't have enough budget for extra consultants to work on it. And fast forward a year from being an IT support, I've moved into being an IT consultant lead, and then within a very quick transition period, I actually started leading the product itself. So the SharePoint 365 platform, I own that space now. So I look after product development and also still do that lead consulting bit as well. So it's been a year and a half in the business, and I've learned quite a bit. And one of the reasons why I could grow really quick and pick up that product development piece is because I had some previous experience before I came to Australia. Um, and I was working with SharePoint for about 5 years before I moved to Australia. So that experience helped me, but it was really hard to tap into it. And I guess I was not able to sell myself really well. And that's where grad jobs came in my life. And it's helped me kind of like push myself out there and tell the world this is what I do in a better way, I guess. So that's a quick overview of what I've done so far.
How would you describe a typical day in your current role, or maybe a typical week?
A typical week for me, usually Mondays is like a catch-up day for us. Like the whole team sits together and comes and discusses every single client we've got. We're not a big organization, so that kind of makes it easier for us to have those kind of conversations on a weekly basis. So we're about 20, 25 people. When I joined, it was 12 people, and now we're slowly growing, which is good. And we've got about 6 lead consultants in the IT, the Kidney Toolkit space. On Mondays, we sit together. We've got the managing director in the room, and then we talk about where the projects are. On an average, everyone leads about 6 to 8 clients across a 3 to 4 month period. So we just discuss about our clients, where we're at, if we need any help, and if we need any support in navigating certain issues within our client projects. And Mondays goes with just internal, brainstorming and trying to provide updates to our managing director. Along with these projects that I do with clients, we've got internal projects as well. So we've got a Power BI dashboard to improve business processes and just process improvements. So there's a few internal projects that I work on as well. So it's pretty full on. It's mainly about Monday is only reporting about all of that. And then and Tuesday onwards, it picks up. So Tuesday onwards in my life, it's just meetings back to back, usually from the morning till midday or even till afternoon. I have meetings with my clients just to check in, see how they're going, and also just gather some requirements around any development pieces. So there are a couple of projects that go through a phase. So we've got 5 phases. Like we do a discovery phase, then we define, then we do development, and then we do a handover. So some projects run parallelly, some projects are picking up, some projects are winding down. So and I'm in meetings through half my day from Monday to Wednesday. So I'm in meetings. And then in the afternoons, I'm catching up with my IT support teams to just let them know what is the task that needs to be done within a client environment. And they go off and build it. I'm just reviewing the work, and then doing my communications, sending emails to my clients, just letting them know what the status is. And Friday is one day where I keep for myself. I don't want to have any client meetings or internal meetings. I try to avoid. And Fridays is just for me to just completely compile what I've done for the whole week and get ready for the next week. So that's typically how my day looks like at the moment. And on Fridays is when, now that I've started taking the product lead as one of my responsibilities, I take Friday to keep aside and do some R&D around our products, especially around SharePoint and Power Automations and Power BI, and how we can improve and keep on top of Microsoft releases. So I'm just documenting any new updates that Microsoft has got, and also amongst that, I also try to network, try to build a community around this space. And that's the only way we can keep improving. So one of my projects within Kidney is to build like a 365 user group, Australia. I know we've got 365 user groups in a global setting, but we don't have a very specific user group for SharePoint and Power Automations within Australia. So that's where I want to get to. I want to build a group of people who work within this space, bring them together and start that community. And I think that's really helpful. And I kind of picked that up from grad jobs. So that application, the school app that you've got, I think it's a good community, and it's a good space for people to talk to about if they have issues or if they find something interesting, or just build a community of practice.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've really progressed a lot.
Yeah, I've put in the deep end for quite a few projects, but I think that's also where you learn sometimes. So being a small company, we don't have a lot of resources. It's just go in and try things. You might fail, but you learn a lot from that. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I don't want to jump into a massive organization yet. I want to be in that small to medium scale businesses, so I can learn as much as I can in a short period of time. I think I did take your advice on that, because when I got into grad jobs, and that my first focus was to get into the Big Fours, and I think everyone wants to get into the Big Fours when you start off. But yes, there is definitely perks of being in the Big Four to start off with. But like you told me, look, just take the offer that you've got, and you can always progress eventually. And that's what I did, because through the grad jobs program, to be honest, I've only applied for like 6 jobs, and out of my 4th job was what I'm working on right now. So the 4th application is what I'm working today. So I didn't really have to I think I put a lot of time in the quality of my resume. I didn't go ahead and apply for too many jobs. I was being a little picky as well, though I didn't have the right to be picky at that point because I was desperate to work. But I still did that. So the response or the conversion was really quick, and that's what was a surprise for me, because I was applying for jobs for about 6 months, and that's when I decided to join grad jobs. And the 4th application is when my toolkit offer came, and I told you, hey, I got this offer. Should I continue to look for the Big Fours? And you said no. You should take the job because it's a good opportunity. And in working in a small business, you get to learn a lot because, and you were right. I was working for a big pharma analytics company, 2,000, 3,000 employees, and I kind of felt stuck. And I was not able to learn much in that 5 years of working there. And within that 1.5 years that I worked in a small business here in Australia, I think I learned more than what I did the 5 years in a massive corporate. So I think at my age, I am happy to take risks, and eventually, maybe when I'm thinking about, when I'm in 40s and 50s, work for a bigger firm. But at my age, I think it was a right decision to go in and try new things, because when I was trying to look for a consulting job, I didn't know what I wanted to consult in. And now I've got a taste of everything. So I've got a taste in, being a support. I've got a taste in being a lead consultant, taste of being a product owner, like product lead, and working with internal teams on internal projects. I don't think I would have been able to get that variety of work if I was in a corporate environment. And me being, I get bored really quick. And that's one of the reasons why I chose consulting. So it gives me that variety of industries to work with and variety of people to work with. So it was a good pick, and I don't regret my decision. And yeah, thank you for your advice on that, Mackenzie. Yeah.
I'm glad it paid off.
No, that is definitely a good one. Yeah. And I would also suggest, like, people who are looking for a job straight away from uni to also keep small or medium-sized businesses as a good opportunity as well. Yeah. You felt like you belong there because you kind of like walk into the office and everybody knows you, says hi to you, and there is no, like, fake smiles in the lift, in the corporates, that's what, and fake good mornings, which I used to do quite regularly. But yeah, you feel like you belong there. Everybody knows your work, and you're proud of what you do there. So, and people acknowledge you for what you do. So I think that, yeah, that kind of a relationship with your work, you really need that to, keep you going, and just be satisfied with what you do on a daily basis. So I think you need that kind of acknowledgement from people, and people to know you, and your contribution matters. Yeah.
And you've had a big impact on the business, I think, because you were one of 12 at the beginning, and after a year and a half, which has meant a lot of hard work from you, you've added a lot of value to clients, and you've kind of been part of that wider growth of the business. You've contributed to that in a sense. So that's the cool thing about a smaller as a company, right? You have it's not just your role that's impactful, and meaningful. It's how that relates to the wider company, if that makes sense.
Yep, definitely. I think we've got like the cream of people who is kind of like push the product and push the relationships out. We're a very relationship business, and we've got only word of mouth. I think 80% of our business comes through word of mouth, and that means we're doing a good job internally, and that's the only reason why we are growing, and we've reached a point where like 30 odd people in the business. So yeah, thanks for saying that. Now that I think, when I reflect back, yes, you're right. Like it's the work that the initial 10 or 12 people who did it, and that's kind of pushing the business along. Yeah, I think I feel proud of that. Yeah.
What do you wish you did differently when you were at university, looking back?
I think when I joined UQ, within the first month, the uni shut down. We had COVID everywhere. Businesses were not doing that great. So it was a bit challenging to get into corporate or get in like an internship with any of the big businesses. So you had to go into looking for small businesses or like even retail or hospitality. So I got into retail when I started at uni. So I worked for a logistics company, which was like about 10 minutes away from where I used to stay. So it was convenient for me to get a job where I live. And especially because it was COVID, we couldn't really go out too much. So I started off in retail, and I kind of enjoyed being in business. And I think I'm a more relationship person. So I kind of and human, like I had more human interaction. I met people, and I enjoyed talking to people and meeting new people and helping people out. And I wanted to be in business. So at uni, I was like, okay, I'm studying IS, information systems, but I want to also be in business. So my initial goal was, okay, I like to be in this logistics firm. I see a future here. I might maybe get into business, get like a franchise out of this person, and then do get that. So my goal in uni was to get in business, and then so what I did was I started skill building on leadership and skill building on Excel and PowerPoint to help the business out. So that's where my focus was. I didn't really want to go into IT and consulting in the first 2 years of my uni. But as I was working in this small business, and because it was COVID, I could spend more time in the business. So I kind of spent more than just that 20 hours that we were allowed to work. We were given 40 hours to work because it was COVID. And so I kind of spent more time working in the business, and I learned the business really well. And the skills that I picked up there is mainly around KPIs. How do you calculate your KPIs using an Excel, and PowerPoints to explain to your director how we are doing through the business. And I think I picked up a lot of that soft skills from my work experience in business. And at uni, I was learning IS related items like SQL and Power BI. And I try to put these two skills together, like the people skills and Power BI skills into the business. And I kind of felt like I like a mix of both. So more of, there was a bit of human interaction, there's a bit of IT, and I knew this is where I wanted to go. I wanted to focus on technology, and I wanted to work with people, and I didn't want to be as a support. So I always wanted to lead, talk to people, and I didn't want to be a coding or a developer. So that's where I wanted to focus on. So I built on my soft skills, built on foundations of all this systems that you should be good at. So these are those little skills that kind of helped me get my first job. If I were to change anything, I should have focused more on my data analytics skills, maybe picked up a few more courses in data analytics, because I think that's an area that I still need to work on. So I hope that answered your question, Mackenzie.
Yeah, so in short, it seems like when you were a student, you probably kind of did it, like a lot of it right at the start. You had a kind of relevant job, you kind of enjoyed it, you were starting to learn and figure out what you liked, what you didn't like, and what kind of role you wanted to have. So you were at that beginning of your journey, and then so you were kind of, I guess, exploring
a bit. Yes, I was exploring a bit, and I think I explored too much. So worked for this logistics company. Then I worked for an e-commerce company called Wink Australia. went into their web support team. But like I said, the supporting piece was not, I guess it didn't keep me happy because I was just sitting in the background fixing bugs, and that's not what I wanted to do. I needed more interaction with people. And then I decided to even go out and do IT work by starting my own business. So I I started like it's called Go Hire Queensland. So I started like an IT support and consulting service, and through word of mouth, I got like 2 clients who I'm still working till today over the weekends to just help them with a little bit of IT and support in terms of network and basic basic hardware support and stuff like that. So I did a bit of everything before I knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. So it didn't come straight to me. Like I just knew what I did dislike, and this is what I landed with. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you mentioned you tried to get, so at some point you decided, okay, I think technology consulting is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then you thought about the big four and these big, exciting brands. And you mentioned you were applying or trying to get a job for like 6 months. And then that for some reason wasn't working. So what do you think it was that wasn't working?
First, I wasn't tailoring my CV very well. And also in terms of the language as well, I was just putting bullet points of what I did, what my team worked on, and how I supported. But I didn't really I didn't try to make it simple for somebody to read and just say in one pager. I think that one tip that you give, just try to keep it in one page, also really helps. So it doesn't really put a lot of stress on anyone who's reviewing your CV. Keep it simple, one pager. Always update the branding or colors on your CV. I used to put like an image of I put a photo on my CV, and I did a lot of put a lot of clutter on my CV, and cleaning that out and putting numbers in kind of made a big difference in my CV. So as soon as I did the grad jobs program, I started putting numbers, kept my CV slightly clean, simple, with like made sure no typos, made it very relevant to that job. I started at least clearing I went into that interview stage. But yeah, beyond the interview, that was just on me. Like I didn't really perform well when I'm put on the spot. That's where I didn't really do well. But I started realizing when I'm put on the spot, I don't do well. I kind of picked that up, and then I started practicing with a few people within grad jobs before I went for an interview. So I did a few interviews with some people in grad jobs before I did my toolkit interview as well, and that kind of built my confidence to talk to a random stranger. Though I didn't know anyone within grad jobs personally, but they were still in the group, but I didn't know them very well. Even talking to them made me nervous, but like I think that I built my confidence doing that. Yeah.
You made your resume really clean, made it more interesting, simpler. You sold yourself better.
I sold myself better, definitely. Yep.
That's one thing one distinct thing, because I'm looking at your LinkedIn now on this other screen, and I think a lot of the bullet points I remember they're kind of similar to the ones you put in your resume a little while back, and it's a very stark difference. Before it was more, like you said, just about kind of what you did, just like putting it on the page, not
put it on the page. Yeah.
Almost like putting the information there without thinking, okay, what's the actual goal of this? And then we kind of set the goalposts, like, we want to actually like impress them and show them that we have the right skills and that we can communicate like a consultant and we're very much to the point. And then you've become like a magician now at crafting these bullet points, because I can see your new ones as well. They're very, very clean. So you did that, kind of sold yourself more than just saying, okay, here's what I did, cleaned it up, made it concise, started tailoring your resume depending on the role.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to the interviews, you think the main thing was just practicing and doing mocks, basically?
Yep, that's right. Yeah. I'm a more I need to be prepared, or like I need to mentally know what I'm getting into, so I don't screw up in those kind of interviews. So I like to be prepared. There are some people who are very spontaneous. They're really good at being spontaneous, but I'm not one of them. So I'd like to be prepared as much, even with my client work as well. Like I take at least 15 minutes before I go into a meeting, and I need to know what I need to achieve. So I think really re-engineering from when I started applying initially for jobs, I just put in everything I could, whatever I did. I didn't really I didn't really think of the end goal, like as in what are they looking for. And there was a small change, or the shift of thinking. I was putting myself as the HR, and what am I looking for? And what am I looking for in a candidate? And I started thinking like a HR or thinking like a manager, and then starting to update my resume. I think that was a small mental shift that I did, and which really helped.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. Most people who are looking, especially grads, when they're looking for a job, they do what they think they should be doing. They're like, oh, the resume, yeah, I think it should look like that. Oh, the interview, yeah, I think I should. That most people tell me to do that, but they forget to just take a step back and go and problem solve, right? Because it's all everything in life's problem solving. Okay,
that's it.
This is the goal. How do I get there? Oh, for me to get an interview, I mean, for me to get an offer, I have to get an interview, right? Or I have to speak with the hiring manager for the job, and they have to love me. So how do I get them to pick that first? Well, they've got to love my resume, I guess. So how do they love my resume? Well, and you just like when you just think like that and you work back, it's very obvious, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the big shift that I did with my resumes, and it's helped me. And I can clearly see, at least I get a response from the HR saying, "Hey, I've reviewed your profile. I've forwarded this to the manager. We take it from there." Well, yeah, that itself gives me boosts my confidence to the next level before an interview. So even just getting an email back was a big thing for me, because that first 6 months I just get automated emails. So I'm grateful for at least understanding that logic and improving my style.
I think it's quite interesting though with you, because there are two different types of grads or job seekers usually.
Yeah.
There's the guys like you who are already very competent. As soon as I met you, I was like, whoa, this guy's, he's going to achieve whatever he wants. Like he's smart, communicates well, maybe lacks a bit of the confidence and like a couple things, and maybe can't quite sell himself and do the networking quite yet. Like stuff you can very quickly teach someone.
Yep.
You had everything there, like your resume in terms of your experience and your actual skills.
Yeah.
And your competency through the roof. I knew that from day when. I was like, brilliant, easy to help this guy. Because all I had to do, and all we had to do at Graduate, was just go, okay, let's layer in. Almost like the hardware was there, and we just had to get you the right software.
Yeah, that's it.
Think like this, do this kind of thing,
and
you get a result. Bang. Like you mentioned, 6 applications, and you got the offer.
Yeah.
On the 4th one you mentioned. But then there's this other group of people where it doesn't matter if you teach them how to job search and how to think and all this sorts of stuff, if their experience and their skill set isn't very good, because then you have to go right back to the ground level and you have to say, okay,
build a skill.
You're actually not a good fit for these jobs because you don't even have any experience and you don't have the right skills. So let's go all the way back there first before we think about the resume, the cover letter, the networking, because that whole thing is not there.
Yeah. So, the fundamentals. Yep.
Like some people might be watching this and they go, this guy, how did he get such good results? Like he just updated his resume, he probably updated his LinkedIn, did some networking and did some applications, and boom, he gets a job. It doesn't work for me. And a lot of those people, like they could be in that other bucket where they're like the fundamentals are off.
Yeah. I agree. Yep. And networking as well. Like, look, even the confidence boost. Like, I used to go into networking events. Not much, but like once I started grad jobs, I found the importance of going for networking events as well. And I joined ACS, which was a great platform for me to meet like-minded people in IT. And you told me that, hey, like if you're going for networking, set a goal. Don't just go for networking events and sit there and come back. So setting a goal in a networking event is also important. So even getting one person or two people's LinkedIn and connecting with them and sending them a message, a follow-up message. That was my goal. That is bare minimum. So every networking event I went, I think one post grad jobs, I've attended more than 12, 13, and almost every one month I used to go network, and slowly started increasing my goal for the number of people I need to connect with. Started off with one person, and today on an average, if I go to a networking event, I'm connecting with 5 people, which is a big thing for me. And I used to kind of sit in my shell, and I got that confidence. I got that way of doing things from grad jobs, and you told me it's okay to do it, and it's not creeping in on them or later stalking them on in LinkedIn, and it's everybody does it, and you have to do it too, and that worked well as well. And I've applied for a role in ACS because it's kind of helped me build my confidence as well. So I put in an expression of interest to be in their emerging group of professionals committee. So let's see if that comes through. But I'm still putting efforts to network and be a part of that community as well, because it's given me back a lot. So I want to go back and give back to the community, talk to people, help people out, or build a good relationships within the community. So yeah.
Okay, so what I was thinking is maybe we could kind of finish this off by giving the viewers a really nice blueprint for what they can do. So imagine there's someone watching this, let's just assume they're a student and they want to get into maybe tech consulting, some sort of tech field, some sort of consulting field. They're starting from scratch. They're just literally first year, maybe it's a bachelor's, or they're in the master's of something, and they're thinking, okay, what do I do? What's the blueprint here? What are the steps? Obviously, we can't go into the detail on how to do the resume exactly, how to do the cover letter, how to do the LinkedIn, how to network, how to do interviews, but we can give them a high level thing they can kind of start checking off. So yeah, what would you say is the blueprint?
It's a tough one to just give you a quick overview. I guess for me, what's worked is try a couple of things. Like if you don't have something in your head already, if you don't know what you want, and you're just saying, okay, I want to just join a big corporate firm and they'll guide me, it won't work that way, because you need to have a goal. You need to know what you like, and then convince people that you're good to be in that role because you like this. So I guess try new things, talk to people, ask what they do, and dig deeper. Like, keep asking them more questions. And I think everybody is happy to help each other out. Everybody is busy, but it's just about prioritizing. And people like to give back. So everybody likes to listen from someone saying, hey, I'd like to get your help, and people are just there to help. So try new things, ask people what they do, ask them what softwares that they're using, who are they working with, who are their clients, or who are their clients. For example, like you might like working for Google at some point, so reach out to a person in Google. I can or go to a networking event, talk to someone, reach out to a person within Google, ask them what they do. They might not give you everything, but at least they'll tell you, I work for this team. Then search up that team, understand, or go to the website and see what that team does. They might be doing only development or software coding. If that's where you want to go into, then talk to people there. If you don't want to do a lot of coding, and if you want to do low code, no code, then search for businesses that do low code, no code. Talk to them. Ask them if for an internship. Maybe they might provide an internship, maybe not. Ask them if there's anyone else they know who are providing internship. Try it out. Without trying, you won't know what you want. And once, you'll be able to figure out what are those things that you don't like to at least for me, this is how it works. These are the things I dislike. These are the things I can give it a shot. and then you funnel down on certain organizations or certain skills that you want to build, and go try it out and apply for a job within that skill, within that organization, and keep trying. If you don't try it out, it will not work. You just sit there, and it'll always still stay as a dream. and you want to keep applying to these jobs, it'll still not happen. So even if it's out of scope, even go for a work with an NGO. There are, out of, at the back of my mind, I have a company in IT who does recycling, electronic recycling. So maybe there's a few recycling companies that want volunteers. Go work for a volunteering company. You can dismantle computers, you can dismantle PlayStations, learn the hardware. You might enjoy working in hardware in IT, and look for a firm that sells hardware or builds hardware, so you can get there. So all these skills kind of help you go into an IT consulting space. So even hardware helps, even software helps. Just to get the lingo of the industry will help.
So what I'm getting from you can be kind of summarized in one word: explore.
Yeah. Explore.
Explore. So figure out, what do you actually like? Like, go talk to people, see what companies are out there, what are they doing, what positions do they have, what work do they do, what clients do they have. Actually speak to them, gather data, and try and kind of figure out, oh, I think I want to go here.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Direction, right?
Yeah, that's it. Just a sense of direction. And explore is the perfect word. So explore everything, and you'll find maybe out of the 10 that you've explored, maybe 1 or 2 would click, or maybe 5 would click. Then explore the 5. It's okay. And maybe in a year's time, you'll finally narrow it down to that one thing that you want to do. And it just takes time. And it's taken me 10 years to figure out what I wanted to do. So it's been a slow journey for me, and maybe for people who are listening, it might be faster for you, but it's okay. Just go ahead and explore. You'll narrow it down at some point.
So we're at uni, we're exploring, we figure out what we want to do. And based on what you've been saying this whole podcast, it's getting some good skills, like figuring out a way to get those skills. You mentioned internships. You mentioned, societies and things like that.
That's right. Like, I guess picking up the skills in uni is the best way to start. And then with those skills, you go and explore how you can apply those skills in different industries or different job roles. Try a couple of things before locking into just saying, I want to work for Deloitte. Then you'll, I guess, value Deloitte more than ever, because you've tried so many things and now you know what you want, and Deloitte offers that. So you'll value it more than just saying, I want to work for Big Fours. And that's what I want to leave you guys with.
Awesome. So skills, explore, resume, LinkedIn, network like crazy, tailor your applications, get in the head of the hiring manager, and actually think, what is the goal here? How do I achieve that? And why how do I make them want to pick me? And then with interviews, practice.
Yep, that's it. Yep. It can be with your friends, it could be with your family, or any unknown within the grad jobs community. Go ahead and practice with the people, because they also are trying to get a job like you. So be a part of a community. We're all there to help. Yeah.
Any final tips?
I guess get a mentor. It could be either through a paid mentorship program, or it could be through a free mentorship program, or whatever. Just get a mentor. So you have somebody to lean on. It could, you start talking to people about it. Talk to people about what you want. Talk to people what you're trying to figure out. And put your word out there. Don't just keep it within you and this is what I want to do. Just talk to people. Never know, like somebody will strike a conversation saying, hey, I remember you saying you wanted to get into this field. I have a friend who's looking for someone, and and it'll probably overnight you'll get an interview just with a conversation, or just putting it out there to the world, saying you're searching for a job in this industry and this is what I like to do. So yeah, talk to people.
Final question, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really common situation a lot of grads find themselves in.
Yeah.
You might have found yourself in this situation too. It's where they are applying online to loads of jobs. Usually they're not networking, but maybe they're trying to network as well. They think they're putting in all this effort. Maybe they've applied to like 100 jobs, maybe even 200 jobs. Something's just not clicking. They're not getting results, and they're saying, oh, why isn't this working? It's never going to work for me. What's going wrong? What would you say to someone who's in that position right now?
Get help. Ask people who can give you feedback. It could be your friends who worked and got a job in Australia, or ask them to review your CV. Ask them to or tell them your story. Tell them what you've done so far. Get some guidance. You can't just solve it by yourself. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I think that was a really good one. I'll whip up the final version and
yeah. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, like it made me think a bit, definitely. Like, good questions as well. Thank you, Mackenzie. You'll still see me around. I keep logging into the app as well very often, seeing what's going on, and keep doing what you do. I like your short stories as well. It motivates me even till today.